What's up there, travel families? Your favorite travel girl here, the travel ho, coming to you from our home office here in Boston, Mass, with today's quick video. Now, if you caught last week's video, we talked about some of the benefits of cruising. And I did mention that when I did this video on some of the cons, that some of those things would cross over. So I'm going to make sure that I add the link as well to the benefits of cruising so you can see that just in case you have not seen it already. All right, so let's delve into it. So one of the first things, or one of the cons of cruising that I see people talk about a lot is that the rooms are too small. Now, grant you are not in some grand suite or penthouse, although you can book those, but they do come at a premium price, depending on the cruise line, depending on the ship. Depending on the time of year that you're going, all of those things will factor into the suite prices, but you do have that options. And like I said, varying cruise lines are, the space is a little bit, could be a little bit more, a little bit less. But if you're booking an inside, an ocean view, or a balcony, your rooms are pretty much around the same. They get a little bigger as you go up, but they're pretty much around the same size. So some people complain that the rooms are too small. Um, Again, I believe it's all in preference and what you want. A lot of times you will see people who cruise a lot who will tend to book the inside cabins, which means, again, there's no windows, there's no anything, but it is the lower of the price point, which allows people to take that extra money that they would use for an ocean view or a balcony and to use it elsewhere, whether that's excursions, whether that's trying out some of the fine dining restaurants, having more onboard credit, whatever it is, people will opt to do that. So it really is your preference. You will hear a lot of people say, hey, I'm just here to have a good time. I don't really care about the room that much, because I want to spend more time out of the room than in the room. So again, it's everybody's preference, but again, you will find that that could be one of the cons of cruising. A second con that you will find is people will talk about the food. The food is just, it's okay. Now, just let me say this: I've cruised a lot of years now, and food has changed over the course of the years, as anything does. But since COVID, I think a lot of people misinterpret that. People say the food's just okay, or whatever the case may be, or there's not enough staff, or it's not this, or it's not that. And since we're now back into travel, and we're kind of sort of over COVID, I don't think we're ever really going to get rid of COVID. But I think what's happened is that what people are missing is that there are a lot of people who have not gotten back to work. And after being on my last cruise, I actually talked to a few of the cabin stewards who shared with me that the process in which it takes for them to get their visas and do whatever it is that they need to do. And because a lot of those other countries aren't back up and running, things are behind. So they are short on staff, but there's a real reason why they're short on staff. So again, you're there to have fun. You're there to enjoy yourself. Just like with anything, take it with a grain of salt. Try to be as pleasant as you can, because these men and women who are serving us every day, in no matter what capacity, whether it's the foods, the sous chefs, excuse me, not the food, the chefs themselves, the sous chefs, the waiter, the waitresses, the bartenders, whoever, everyone is working extremely hard. And remember, there are over sometimes anywhere between about 1,500 to 2,000 people on a ship if it's at full capacity. Those larger ships, as you know, are usually going to generate more people. Some of the larger ships are holding up to 3,000 people. So just be mindful that there is a reason why there is sometimes it may seem like, the food's not great, or there's a lack of service bringing out your food or bringing out your drinks. And it's because, there's a process to get everybody back up and running to get back on the ships. So that's the second thing. Um, the third thing is that people feel like there's not enough time in ports. Now, it depends, again, cruise line. time of year you're going, which port you're visiting. You normally get to a port about maybe 7 o'clock. You can get there as early as 7. You may not be able to disembark until about 9, and that's because there's paperwork and stuff that needs to be done between the ship and the captain and the port of call that they're in. So there's a whole process of things that need to happen before we are allowed to get off of the ship and enjoy the ports. So you just, again, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. This is one of the reasons why I do like cruising, though, is because it allows you the opportunity to go and see an island, see if maybe you like to go back. That might be an island that you like to fly back into and just spend some time there. So try to make the most of it is what you're doing. Now, one of the things that I always suggest is that I don't necessarily like group tours per se or the excursions. And a lot of times it's simply because it could be a 3-4 hour tour. And depending on what it is, that's absolutely great. I'm not saying don't go on tours. Please, please, please understand. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying for me, I like to be able to take my time and do things more leisurely. And then I can determine when I go back to the ship. So again, you know, it's to each his own when it comes to not being enough not being enough time, excuse me, in import. We spend, maybe if we get there at, let's say we get there at 7, we might get off the ship by 8-9 o'clock, and we might pull out, need to be back on the ship by 4. And while we're actually talking about that, let me jump right into that too. Ship time. Be aware, be aware, be aware. If the cruise lines say that we are sailing off at 4, my suggestion is to be back by 3. And if you can make it back by 2 or 2:30, do that. Enjoy the ship. Um, don't push it. Don't try to push it and say I'm gonna be back at 3:30, because you may not even be able to get on the ship. All right. So make sure that you're back on time. So that's really all of what I have as some of the cons. I know there's probably more. Forget some of them, but you know what? Let's talk about the drink package before I go. Let's talk about the drink package. Now, people might say that that's a con. The drink package is really dependent on you yourself and how much you drink. And when we talk about the drink package, a lot of times we think that we are just talking about alcoholic beverages, and it's not. When you buy the drink package, it includes alcoholic beverages, in some cases, your milkshakes, if the cruise ships offer them, and some of your other drinks. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the sodas might be included in that too if you buy the whole drink package, because there is just a beverage package if you don't want the drink package. So really, again, weigh out what you would think you normally would drink, because it runs about maybe 56, 57 bucks a day. I'm actually going to be doing another video on that soon, where we're going to talk about the new prices versus the old prices. Prices have changed, I do know for sure, on Carnival. And of course, as business does, I'm sure the other cruise lines will follow suit if they have already not. So again, people will say that the drinks are expensive. It's not worth it to get the drink package. It really, really depends. Sometimes the drink package, depending on what you pay for the cruise, can cost more than the entire cruise. But again, it just depends on, your preference and how you like to drink. If you like to get your party on, you like to have, more than, 2, 3 drinks a day, then you might want to consider it. And I will say, though, that there is a limit on the number of drinks you can have per day on Carnival. I know for sure, I believe it's 15. And, once you start to get to that 10, 11, they start tagging your receipt so that the bartenders know that you are almost hitting your limit for the day. It's like 15 drinks a day. But just know that, again, that can be a con because it can be very expensive. And if you're trying to find ways to cut the cost, then you might want to avoid the drink package. But again, it goes back to my first point where we talked about choosing your room category, and this is why sometimes people will choose the the lesser of the categories, the cheaper category, which is the inside cabin, so that they can have the money for the other things. So that's it. That's all I got. I appreciate you for checking us out. Stay tuned next week. We're going to come to you with another quick video and some more cruising information. Until next video, guys. Peace.